Not yet. This one?
Good morning. My name is Ricky Julian Jr.
And I'm Caleb Chapman, and our presentation will be about debt. Debt, and more debt. Welcome to America. Americans love spending money. We usually want biggest houses, nicest cars, the nicest clothes, and for our kids to go to the best colleges. But as well as added on to Americans, politicians also love spending money. But unfortunately, there's not enough money in the U.S. to supply all of our wants and needs. So we are willing to go into debt to satisfy our insatiable appetites. What is debt? Debt is usually debt is something. Usually, money owed is one party, the borrower or debtor, to a second party, and the lender or creditor. Debt may be owed by a sovereign state or country, a local government, company, or an individual. A debt arrangement gives the borrower permission to borrow money under condition that it is to be paid back, usually with interest. The state's overall objective is to describe how major debt obligations of U.S. households and the federal government affect us. Our first objective is to provide a brief overview of the U.S. consumers' outstanding debt obligations with credit cards, mortgages, and motor vehicles. Our second objective is to provide an overview of student loans. The third is to discuss the 10-year trend in student loans and how it has increased over the years. And the fourth objective is to describe recent growth in federal deficits, the national debt, and interest payments on the debt. Our data was collected from creditcard.com, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, TreasuryDirect.gov, and StudentLoanHero.com. Our data was analyzed using tables, graphs, and charts, and we used Excel software to generate those graphs and charts. Our empirical results and discussion is the outstanding credit card debt in America as of March of this year is $1.027 trillion. It's about $1,154 per card that doesn't carry a balance, about $2,000 average balance on store credit cards, and about $5,500 per card holder, excluding the unused cards and store cards. About $6,400 for average balance on credit cards at the end of last year, and that was 2.7% higher from the $6,200 at the end of 2016. The mortgage debt outstanding as of the first quarter of this year is $15 trillion. This table shows how what it's broken down into to equal up to the $15 trillion. And the motor vehicle loans owned and securitized outstanding as of March of this year is $1.1 trillion. Now to student loan debt. When you receive student loans, the cash is typically deposited into a bank account or at the financial aid's office at your school, and they will issue you a check. You can usually use the money as soon as it is given to you. Repayment of the loans usually begin after your grace period. You don't have to make payments on student loans while you're in college, and payment plans can vary from 10, 15, or 25 years, depending on your financial situation. Some things to look for when you get student loans is to make sure you have a plan that's good for you, to make sure you know how long your grace period is. Usually it's 6 months, but it can be a little bit longer. Know when your payoff date is and stay in touch with your lenders. If you don't make your payments, the federal loans default kicks in after 9 months of not making payments, which at that point, your total balance then becomes due. Your credit score is pretty much ruined. They increase how much you owe, and the government can also garnish your wages and seize your tax returns. With private loans, default can also happen, but it can happen quicker. And if you have a cosigner, it puts them at risk as well. The outstanding student loan debt as of June of this year is $1.52 trillion. 44.2 million Americans have student loan debt in America, and the average debt loan is about $57,600 per person. The average monthly payment for borrowers between ages 20 and 30 is $351 per month. This table shows the different types of student loans that you can get and how much they currently are, how much debt is you currently on those student loans. This one shows the amount of borrowers per student loan in millions, and student loan delinquency / default rate is 11.2%. This graph shows the trend of how student loan has increased over the past 10 years. And now I'll turn it over to Ricky.
Good morning. I will inform you about the federal debt. Federal debt is the total amount of money that the United States federal government owes to creditors, the amount by which a government's expenditures exceed its tax revenues. The difference is made up for by borrowing from the public through the issuance of debt. This is also called federal deficit. The U.S. deficit in billions was in 2007, it was $161 billion, and then in 2017, it rose to $665 billion. This is a pictorial representation of the stats. The increase in debt in trillions in 2007, $8.95 trillion was the debt, and then in 2018 it rose to 21.16 as of that day, but it's still increasing. This is the fiscal year of this year of 2018, and it was approximately $320 trillion. And that's a picture. U.S. consumers owe 1.03 on credit cards, 1.1 trillion on motor vehicles, 1.52 trillion on student loans, and 15 trillion on mortgages. The U.S. national debt is 21 and plus trillion dollars. Many Americans are in debt because our incomes have not kept pace with inflation. We love to buy stuff. We are driven by instant gratification. We are financially illiterate, and only 33% of Americans correctly answered all 5 questions on the National Financial Capability Quiz. With respect to student loans, we are urging fellow students to learn about these loans and about the starting salaries in your disciplines before taking out a student loan. Do not, I repeat, do not borrow more than the starting salary in your discipline. In summary, the federal government's expenditures have exceeded revenues each year for a very long time. These annual deficits are added to the national debt, thus the 21 trillion national debt. It is unlikely that the debt will fall in the near future because of military, Social Security, and Medicare expenditures and the 2017 tax cut, among others. Therefore, U.S. consumers must become more savvy about budgeting, credit, debt, saving, and investing because the federal government will not be in any position to help us. This is the website for the U.S. National Debt Clock.
Click the bottom.
Click the bottom.
Click outside the box. Something else. Right for the second thing. Open.
The U.S. national debt is right here in the top left. Oh shit.
I'll go back.
I'll go back.
Click the PowerPoint.
Huh?
Click the PowerPoint.
All right.
Should be.
Oh,
No,
wait.
second.
Second. All right.
Slideshow.
These are the websites we use to find our information. In acknowledgements, we would like to extend our sincere thanks to our mentors, Doctors Ben Lukongo, Oscar Udo, and Patricia McLean Mayente. Southern University Land Grant Campus, sponsors of the 2018 BAYOU program, and fellow participants for making our stage so memorable. Thank you.
Good job.